Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Point without Anna Kasparian. But don't worry, they've got their AAA team on the panel.
So an Oregon woman is asking her white friends to pay for her therapy.
I presume it's because she only has white friends? So why would the whiteness have to be mentioned?
Now, Rena Rem is Asian, and she recently got into a bar fight when somebody poured beer over her friends, and she confronted him, and they called her a derogatory term, chink.
That's mean. And from what I've heard so far, I respect her for confronting that asshole.
Rem says that she has seen a therapist after this incident because she was extremely traumatized from the fight and from the ensuing racial slurs.
Her having to see a therapist because of a confrontation in a bar seems a bit ridiculous. I'm sure she's had other issues before. On the other hand, the information on what had happened that night is very vague, so who knows?
Now, this is a site from her fundraising page where she would like to ask her white friends to pay for the therapy that she's had to pay for following this event. Now, the name of the campaign is White Friends Pay for My Therapy.
Okay.
Rina says that the stress of living as a Thai Cambodian woman in such a white city, replete with constant interpersonal and institutional racism, has a big toll on my health and well-being. I see an amazing therapist to cope with this shit, but I spend $100 a month on therapy for bi-weekly appointments, and now it's your turn to pay.
First of all, what interpersonal and institutional racism does she as an Asian American have to face? In modern times, Asians have been perceived as a model minority. They are seen as more educated and successful and are stereotyped as intelligent and hardworking, but socially inept. This has led to discrimination in the workplace, as Asian Americans may face unreasonable expectations because of the model minority stereotype. Asian American stereotypes can also obstruct career paths. Because Asians are seen as better skilled in engineering, computing and mathematics, they are often encouraged to pursue technical careers. They are also discouraged from pursuing non-technical occupations or executive occupations requiring more social interaction, since Asians are expected to have poor social skills. I tried to check out the cited studies, but I couldn't access them without having to pay. So I'm not going to flat out dismiss her complaints. By the way, $100 for at least 8 therapy sessions doesn't seem very much.
And sort of her explanation as to why white people should pay for her therapy is that she says she feels that white people created race to subjugate people in the first place, so the onus should be on them to end racism.
This part is just insulting. White people created racism? If you want to talk about the scientific idea of race, which really took off in the 19th century, that may be true. But hatred of other cultures, especially those that are really different from one's own, is as old as humanity, like slavery. And how is the burden of getting rid of it exclusively on white people? It seems obvious to me that she is the sort of person who will claim that colorblindness is wrong, and that would make her a racist.
Now, after she kind of debuted this campaign, she has received a lot of hate on the internet.
Who would have thought?
These are some of the emails that she's received. Some of them saying that she's an idiot. She was wondering, people wondering if this was a joke, and are her white ally points a thing?
If that is the worst hate mail she received, then this is a proud day on the internet. And she's incredibly lucky and has no reason to complain.
Now, her original goal was to raise $600. Now, as she gets more hate, she's saying that she's raising the price and raising the goal. Her goal now is $2,400.
It's a scam then. She's not a chink. She's a ka-ching.
Now, this is really interesting because a lot of Cambodians who kind of face some of the effects of the genocide in the 70s have exhibited symptoms of major affective disorders, and it is possible that Rina is also suffering the effects of that.
How old is she? Is this her? The Cambodian Civil War and the Khmer Rouge were horrific. But her freaking out over first world problems looks to me like being called a chink is the worst thing that ever happened to her.
That was a whole handful
of bullshit.
But I want to know your guys' thoughts on this. Anessa?
I think what she's doing is awesome because it sparks a conversation.
Depends on the conversation.
So even though people might have differing opinions, and in terms of can you blame white people for racism, I don't even know if that matters.
Well, that's convenient.
Because I'm applauding her for reaching out and getting therapy.
which she clearly needs.
I'm applauding her for talking about it, and she's asking friends. So if people want to support her through this, I think that's a beautiful thing.
I don't know. Maybe I'm old-fashioned, but why would you set up a crowdfunding page if you are addressing your friends, rather than, well, asking them directly? This seems to be directed at all whites.
And I think the fact that she's raising the dollar proves that racism is so prevalent, because as she keeps kind of getting more racist comments,
None of which you showed.
we can see that this is something that we do need to talk about. So I think you might not agree with her, but I think what she's doing is really cool and sparking an interesting conversation.
Thank you for basically saying nothing.
It's actually a fact that people of Asian descent are the ethnic group that is least likely to seek mental health services in the U.S. So it is also an anomaly that she's doing this.
Which, if it applied to white men, you would see as an indicator of privilege, right?
Ron, what's your point?
Yeah, I tend to agree. On the surface, sometimes you're like, oh, gee, I don't know. I mean, I'm a white person. I don't think that particular bigot speaks for me at all. But then I went to the page and I kind of read what it was about. And we live in a society right now where people are so quick to kind of just pass the buck and kind of marginalize with the whole, like, whenever something bad happens, well, not all white people are bad, not all Christians are bad, not all cops are bad.
Not all Muslims are bad, not all African Americans are bad, not all Jews are bad. Not perpetuating guilt by ethnic or occupational association is a really bad thing.
And it's getting so tiring. So to see someone that's kind of just taking the gloves off.
Whining is not the same as taking the gloves off. Quite the opposite, really.
So to see someone that's kind of just taking the gloves off and being like, look, as a group, this has been going on, and you guys should be aware of this. And I personally don't know what it's like to suffer from racism on a regular basis, or even at all, really.
Except for the all-white men blaming that's prevalent in the social justice community and hardly challenged at all.
So yeah, I think she's sparked a pretty great conversation.
She didn't spark any conversation. She just jumped on a very common bandwagon.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think she sparked a great conversation.
I disagree.
I applaud her for seeking therapy.
I agree.
I can see why she's getting the hate, obviously, because of the way that she's approaching it. I think sometimes battling, race with race is not always a good idea.
Because race baiting is divisive, and the only people getting away with that are identity politics idiots.
But I definitely think that people should support her in her kind of coping and dealing with all of that.
How is person X's mental health my problem? She seems to have gotten a good healthcare deal. I mean, $100 a month is nothing. Or maybe her therapist is just shitty.
But I want to know from you guys, if someone owes you money, do you ask for it or do you kind of let it go?
What's that about? No, really, what are you talking about? Do you mean like in if white people owe this Cambodian woman money? Are you this stupid? I understand that you are slightly dumb, but how dumb are you?
I think that if you shouldn't really lend money that you're not willing to lose.
There's a difference between lending money and just giving it away.
You should just, you should just only lend what you can afford to lose. Then it's a true act of generosity.
You don't lend money out of generosity.
My rule is, if it's less than $20 and it's over 6 months, just let it go.
I would love to go to the pub with you now and then.
No, for me, I usually let it go. I think money is something, we're all scrounging for it, but at the same time, it's not something to get in sort of a dispute in a friendship or a relationship or anything like that. It's one of those sort of small things that your relationships are much more important than money.
Such begins the Gold Diggers Manifesto.
But I want to know from you guys what you think about this story.
I have told you, and so has your audience. By the way, woman on the right, wear some pants next time.
What's going on with those legs?
Every day. I'm telling you, it's every day.
I was paying attention to the clip and then I got distracted, and I can imagine how difficult it is for men to pay attention to that video.
This clip was so dumb that I don't think I need to comment on it any further. Hannah Cranston tends to be exceptionally uneducated whenever I see her anywhere, but this must be one of her all-time lows. I'm the thoughtful Contrarian. Feel free to rate, comment, share and subscribe, but don't ask me for money, especially not because of my ethnic background. I'm not going to do it either. I will end this video with a little compilation of the that I had edited out.
That's so funny.